In this lesson, we are going to learn how to create a scene in Blender, and we are going to go much further. We are going to create what I did on this, the homepage of 3GS Journey, on how to get those beautiful lights, beautiful shadows, stuff like that. This is a technique, very specific technique. I've been using it on many projects. It can get you these awesome results, which looks kind of impossible to get with the current techniques we have, like directional light, shadows from 3GS. It's really hard to get those shadows, those colors, those ambient occlusion and stuff like that. The technique is called baking. And trust me, with that technique, you will be able to do so much. So yeah, let's try to understand what baking is exactly. When you're using like 3D software, like almost any 3D software like Blender, C4D, 3ds Max, Maya, stuff like that, renders usually look much better than in 3GS. And it's because they are using ray tracing. Not always. We will see that we can switch between different rendering techniques, but most of the time when you look at a beautiful 3D image, like a beautiful render, it's beautiful because it's using ray tracing. I'm going to try to explain to you what is ray tracing exactly. Ray tracing consists of casting multiple rays in many directions multiple times to simulate indirect lighting. Let's do some drawings, as always. Imagine you have a scene. In your scene, you have a sphere. Okay, great. Behind the sphere, I'm going to put the camera over there. So this is my camera. Beautiful camera as always. All right. We have our wall. Let's say we have like a blue wall here. So it's behind the sphere, according to the camera. And let's say we also have like this, like a red floor, something like that. Okay, so the camera is looking in that direction. Cool. And let's imagine we have a light here that will cast, I don't know, just some light in those directions there. In the end, what we get is something like that. A little bigger. Okay. So this is the render of the camera. Let's imagine we are doing just one render like this. We get the sphere. All right, what can we see exactly? Behind there is supposedly the blue wall. So it's supposed to be something like that. So it's blue over there. And at the bottom, it's going to be red. And this is the usual kind of result we get when using real-time rendering like in 3GS. But when using ray tracing, when, like let's say Blender will try to render this pixel, Blender will send rays from this pixel, so it's the exact same pixel seen from the side. Blender will send rays in many directions, like this, like a lot of rays, like that. And as you can see, the rays going to the bottom are going to like collide with the floor, like this. And this is why the floor will add some red to this pixel here, some red here, and some red here, and some red here. This is why here you won't see just a white pixel, you will see something kind of reddish result. Like if you have a very bright scene with a very red floor, you will see that there will be some red here. It's because the light is bouncing. And this is made possible in 3D by using ray tracing. We are sending rays, casting rays in every direction, and we just test, the software is testing with what colors they are colliding. And it goes even further because, let's say this part here, this part will also cast rays in many directions, like this. And as you can see, it will collide here and here with the blue wall, like this. So this part will not just send red to the sphere, there will be also some blue on it because the blue wall will have some color impact on the red floor here. And here we will get some blue too, just some blue too, just a small percentage of blue. And this will get you a realistic result because this is what's happening in real life. When you place two objects like a white and a red object in a bright day, you will see that there will be some red on the white object, and the red object will be brighter because there will be something white on the side of it, and you get something realistic. So yeah, this is the idea. It's realistic, but it can take many minutes, even hours to do one render. So the more details, the more rays, the bigger the resolution, the longer you will have to wait. In WebGL, we have only few milliseconds to do a render because we want to do a render at least 60 times. We want to do at least 60 renders per second, at least, because if you have a better frame rate, you need it to be even faster. So we don't have this luxury. We cannot just spend minutes doing one render and the user just have to wait for 1 minute looking at your website until he can see another frame. So this is why we cannot use ray tracing in WebGL. Actually, we can use, but it doesn't look really good, and you kind of see the image forming itself. So it's not very, you cannot have like a real-time experience using those ray tracing. Which is why we are just using other techniques with mathematics, with shaders and stuff like that. It's not as realistic, but at least we get a good frame rate. The idea of baking is that we are going to save this render, so this beautiful render, as a texture that we will place on the geometries in our scene. Like we have a sphere. All right, cool. We do this kind of beautiful ray tracing render, so it's going to take like minutes, maybe hours. And then we use that render to create a texture, and we will place this texture on the sphere and on the wall and on the floor. This way, you get beautiful render, but at real time. And this is exactly what you're seeing here. And I can provide you an example. Look at this. Yeah, see this? Maybe I can open it bigger. Yeah, as you can see, it's just a texture. So it's not exactly the same scene as you will see just right after. But it's looking like we have some kind of ray tracing stuff. As you can see, it looks like a floor here, and we have beautiful shadows, beautiful lights, beautiful colors, and then lights is bouncing, so it's looking good. And this will be used, let me just get back to the slide, to create this. This is the final result of the 4 incoming lessons, so this one plus 3 lessons. As you can see, the shadows, the lights, things are bouncing. You get indirect lighting, light bouncing, stuff like that, and it's just looking great like this. And it's because I'm using this texture to place, I place this texture on these geometries. So that's the idea, and that's what we are going to do in the next lesson. So yeah, here, in what you can see here, there is no light, there is no shadow. It's just one texture. Actually, we could have used multiple textures, but the scene is pretty simple. We are going to use just one texture, and it's going to look great. It's very good for performances because we have no light. We don't have to do those shadow maps, stuff like that. It's just like a mesh basic material. We send a texture, so we have to load that texture, and we get this result. Unfortunately, there are some drawbacks. The main drawbacks are we have to bake everything in 3D software. So we are going to use Blender, and you will see that it's quite long. We are going to like create the scene, but then we are going to unwrap it. You will see why. We are going to do this baking stuff, and you will see that we are going to have some color management issues, and we will need to fix that. So it's a lot of work. We have to load those textures. So here, just to open this experience, I have to load the model, which is kind of logical, but also a big texture. So it's bad for the bandwidth, for the network, but also for the GPU memory. If I had like a huge city with many bake textures to load so that it looks great, I'm going to overload the GPU. So it's limited by the GPU memory. And finally, the lights are not dynamic. By that, I mean that if the lights move, well, there is no light. So the lights just cannot move. This scene will work with this lighting, and if I want the light to be somewhere else, I will have to go back to Blender, move the light, and rebake everything. So that's a problem. As you can see here, it's looking great, but the light is not moving. It's just an illusion, and I cannot move the light. So make sure your projects fit with that problem. Like if, I don't know, you have a client and the client say, and then the lights come down and it's the night or stuff like that, well, it's impossible. You won't be able to do that. So make sure it's okay. Also, yeah, choosing to use baking or not is up to you, so it depends on the project, but be aware that you can mix bake and unbake technique. But be careful, it might be strange to see like two different shadows, one soft, one not soft, so just try stuff. It's possible, like in this one I've mixed with madcap, so I've mixed like bake technique, madcap, no dynamic light, so I'm not using any 3GS light, but it's possible, but make sure it will fit together. All right, cool. Let's talk about the process. First, we're going to create the scene in a 3D software. You can guess it, I'm going to use Blender here. We're going to optimize everything. It's not necessarily related to baking, but it's always good to optimize everything. The burger was quite simple. We had a lot of polygons, so a lot of vertices. Here we are going to optimize everything, have a very light geometries, very light scene with only what we need. And it will also help for the next step, which is UV unwrap everything. Because if you remember from this picture there, we need to unwrap the scene. This scene, we need to unwrap it. We talk about unwrapping. It's like unwrapping a candy. You have this 3D candy and you unwrap it so it fits in a square. Not necessarily a square, but usually we use a square. And so that we can bake the render, so the ray tracing blender, into a 2D texture. So we need to unwrap. It's going to be long and hard, but I'm going to help you, don't worry. Then we need to bake the render into the textures. This is not that hard. In the end, we need to export the scene, so the geometries, the meshes, but also the texture. We'll see that it's not that simple. It's not just an image. You use it in 3GS. We see that we need some tricks to do the color management, stuff like that, and also the denoising. You will see what is denoising soon. And finally, we need to import everything in 3GS and apply the texture on the mesh. All right. As a bonus, so to get this final result, as a bonus, we will add some details in 3GS to give more life to the scene. As you can see, we have a cool looking portal. So this is a shader. I'm going to help you get this result. And we also have those fireflies floating around. It's just particles. And we will see how to do those this floating animation in a shader too. So it's two shaders, one for the particles and one for the portal. All right, let's go. We can start with Blender. We are going to use Blender to create our scene, bake it, and export it. So, great. If you don't know Blender yet, follow the previous lesson dedicated to it. All right? There is a lesson, like maybe 10 lessons ago, we learned how to use Blender. You need those basics. If you already know Blender, that's great. Stay with us. If you don't, be careful. I might go a little fast because you should know already a few stuff, like the basics, the interface and stuff like that. I recommend to follow the exact steps I will do unless you are already familiar with Blender, UV unwrapping and baking. All right, if you have already done some baking, UV unwrapping, etc., okay, go ahead, maybe have fun, add some trees, do some crazy shapes, stuff like that. If you're not familiar, just follow the exact step and don't continue if you get some differences with me. So make sure to follow every steps. You might get issues later if you don't. I will be using Blender 2.92. It's kind of important because first, you might have a different version. So if you have a different version, just be careful. Maybe the button is not at the same place. Don't hesitate to go on the Discord server and ask, I can't find this button, where is it? And we will try to figure out. But also because there is a bug with this version. So I want this bug. Just in case you have this bug, I will show you this bug. It's with Draco compression. And it's okay. It's not a big problem. Anyway, we'll be using this one. You can use a different one. But try to use at least the 2.8. 2.9 will be better. So the setup. I'm going to open Blender. Do I need this? Yeah, we keep this one here just in case. Yeah, why not? This one I can close it. And I'm going to get Blender over here. All right. So the default setup is the one we define in the Blender lesson, but you can use any setup you like. By that I mean that I have already a small scene, like just a cube, a light. I have my areas already set, like I have this one on the x-axis, the z-axis. Both are using wireframe, so if you remember, you have to press Z to change it, like render or wireframe, like that. You can use any setup you like. If you want to have this setup, you can download the blend file in the starter. So it's up to you. You can try with your setup. You can use my setup using the file in the starter. Also, I have this light. So this light, check the parameters. I'm going to show you my parameters. We're going to change the lights anyway, because we will want to create like a very specific mood, specific ambience. But we are going to need to see some stuff at a point, so you can set the same parameters for me. So it's a point light. To create a point light, it's Shift A. By the way, you have now the shortcuts I'm using on the left. So Shift A, and you choose somewhere over here, light, point light. You create this light. By default, it's at the center. You move it wherever you want, and you change the parameters to get something like that. It's not strong enough, but anyway, we will change that later. If your parameters are different than my parameters, it's probably because you are using Eevee. Actually, I am using Eevee right now, so let's change this first. So everybody go to the this tab here. So it's the render properties tab, and change the render engine to cycles. We are going to need cycles. Why? Because Eevee, it's real time, it looks great, but we want the best looking render with ray tracing. So we are going to use cycle. So move to cycle. Here are the parameters. Actually, it might be the same parameters now. So 800 for the powers, radius, max bounce. It's okay. This is way too much, but anyway, it's okay. Let's keep those defaults. We can delete the cube. I'm going to keep the light here. So to delete, it's X. And we are going to create first the floor. So let's go. I can show you the final scene one more time. Try to remember this. This is the final scene. We need to create all those objects. So it's going to be a cool journey. You will see, you will learn a lot of Blender if you don't know yet how to create those. It's a little harder than the usual burger, and you will see that it's going to be fun. And not so hard. Yeah, by the way, we are doing this scene. We are not doing the room I have on my on the homepage of 3GS Journey, because it's too long. This lesson will have take maybe 6 hours just to create the scene, and 5 more hours to unwrap the scene, which is why I decided to create a much smaller, simple scene. All right, it's looking great too. Kind of Viking portal magical stuff vibes. So now we need the floor. So let's go. Let's create a floor. So Shift A, go to Mesh and create a plane. We want this floor to be like a 4 by 4. All right. Let me just move this there so that it doesn't bother you anymore. So 4 by 4. For what? Actually, we don't really care. By default, for Blender, 4 is 4 meters, meaning that 1 square you can see here is 1 meter. We don't care. It's like in 3GS, it's 4 whatever you want. So we need to make it bigger. There is 2 ways of doing that. First, at the moment you create the plane, you will see there that we have a small menu here. You can open this menu and tweak it. Be careful, if you click somewhere else, you lose this. So how can I get it back? Well, there is actually a shortcut, but let's not use it. You delete it, you create it again, and you get back this result. And here you can change the size. So as you can see, it's 4 meters, but for you it's maybe something else. We don't care. All right, this is just a unit. We don't care about this unit. You can actually change it. So I think it's somewhere over there. Yeah, see, it's the scene properties units. You can change to none, and as you can see now we have nothing. If you prefer like that, I do prefer like that. All right, cool. So 4 units. If you want to do something else, like I don't know, by default it's 2. You can also scale it, like you can do S to scale it, and scale it so that it takes 4 on the width and on the depth. And if you want to kind of magnet it so it's exactly at the right position, you can press Control, As you can see now, it's clamped and we can put it there. It's actually different, but we will fix that anyway. Okay, cool. Let's move forward. We have our floor. It was really easy. We are not going to have some relief, some eights. We will keep a flat floor. Why not? Now we are going to create the fences, because if you remember, we have 6 fences that on the path to the portal. First, we're going to create like one geometry for one fence. All right. The fence is going to be composed of 4 wood, like 2 poles and 2 planks, and it's going to be one geometry. We could have done it differently, like we could have created like 1 cube and 1 other cube, but to change things and for learning purpose, we're going to create only one geometry. So first, we need to start with a cube. It's going to be the pole. And we are going to resize it, but before resizing it, we will go to edit mode. To go to the edit mode, you press tab. All right, you're now in edit mode. You can also use this menu here, but let's use the shortcuts. It's so much faster. Then we can resize it to create the poles of the fence. So the size is not that important yet because we have almost nothing in the scene. We can't see really how things are proportionate relative to each other. So just try to get something looking like a pole. Yeah, maybe like that. It's way too big, so I can like reduce it a little. All right, maybe higher. Don't forget that you can force the axis when doing a transformation. So S is for resizing. And if I want to resize only on the Z axis, because remember Z is going up in Blender, not like in 3GS by default, you press Z. So first S, so now it's a scale, Z, and now it's a scale only on the Z. I can do the same on the X and the Y. All right, cool. Let's place it like there. Yeah, slightly above the floor. Yeah, something like this is fine. And I think it's okay. Let's not spend too much time on it. I'm going to see the center of the geometry is right here, where you have like this small orange point. So I'm going to offset it a little there. By the way, it's like going on the Y. Yeah, I recommend you to use the same axis as me. It's going on the Y. So you can see it there. This is the Y. So the portal will be on the Y, and so that we get the same orientation. It's better. It's not that important, but it might be better. So we have it here. Now we are going to duplicate it. To duplicate, it's Shift D. As always, you can see the shortcuts on the left, and you can move it. But I'm not going to move it anywhere. I want it to be perfectly aligned. So I'm still duplicating it. I didn't click yet. What I'm going to do is press Y. This way, I'm duplicating it, but I keep it on the Y axis. All right, this is looking good. I can do it again. And this time I'm going to move on the X and then on the Y. So it's G to move. I'm going to do something like that and something like that. And as you can see, I'm creating like the planks. All right, this planks is way too big. I'm going to reduce it. I like to keep if it's like poles, like wood or walls, stuff like that, to keep them thick. But it really depends on what you want to create. So let's try to move it like closer to the planks. Not too close. It's okay if there is like a small gap. Try to avoid having things that overlap as much as possible. It won't look great once baked. You will maybe see why later. So not that high. Oh, sorry, it's the Z. Yeah, something like that. Maybe a little down, and you duplicate it. When you duplicate it, does that. I press Z, and I have my fence. All right, looking cool. Yeah, this is great. Don't spend too much time on setting it because we will change those later. All right, maybe just going to reduce it a little like that. Yeah, this one is looking more than enough. It's good enough. All right, cool. Next, we need to duplicate it to get 6 fences in total. So maybe it's too big, maybe it's too small. So now just check from far, can you fit like 1, 2, 3 and have some room for the portal, and we will add some rocks too. If yes, well, keep that size. If not, just resize it. Maybe, yeah, just resize it anyway. So you can use like the other 3D viewport areas to get one on the top, so on the Z. If you want to move something on a camera on the top, you can use the numpad 7. All right, if you use numpad 7 here, it will move it on the top. Like if I hover this area and press numpad 7, we see that now the camera is on top of it. If you want to move it, just move it like that. So 7, paf, and this way you can move it there. But I already have one right here. Let's keep it on top. So I can just move it there. Let me see. I just want to see how much I get. They're not big enough. You know what? Let's make it slightly bigger. Yeah, like this. It's going to be much better. Even more. Maybe it's a bad idea. We will fix that anyway later. So I move it there. I move it there. It's too big. All right, slightly below. Like this, like this. I select the 3 fences, I duplicate them, and I move them the other way. It's more logical. Don't try to do like too much symmetrical because it's like human-made. The terrain can move with time, with water, with the rain, stuff like that. So it's okay to have some randomness. Actually, we are going to add even more randomness. So I'm going just to move them. And as you can see, I rotate them not like that. So to rotate, it's R. I'm rotating them using an axis. Like I force the axis. So I use R, Z, and I just add some randomness, something like that. I don't know, maybe like this one on the same, this one, yeah, completely different. Yeah. Maybe like that. Yeah, this is good. All right, cool. We can change those later anyway. So we have our fences. Let's create our first render. Where is the light? Okay, I still have the light here. Maybe it's not good enough. We will see later. Why doing a render? Well, because we want to see how it will look. We are just curious. Like, let's do one render to see what we get with this scene. To do a render, if you remember from the previous Blender lesson, we need a camera. So let's create a camera. So Shift A, we can create anything. I'm going to create a camera. By default, the camera is at the center and looking kind of a little down like that. We can move it. Oh, it's strange because it's not like orientated. So strange. The rotation is not like looking straight. Anyway, we can move it, but before moving it, we want to see at place of the camera. We want to see what the camera is seeing. To do that, you can choose one of your areas. If you don't have multiple areas, just create one. So you have to, let me check if I can show you how to create areas. To do that, I place my cursor like on corner. It can be any corner you want. You can actually split those areas too, but I'm going to split this one. And I just drag and drop in the direction. All right, if I move on the left, it splits like that. So I can create multiple ones. I recommend to have like three viewport areas. We're going to change those anyway later. So we make sure it's 3D viewports. You can change to wireframe or whatever you want. You can move it up, down, etc. And if I want this area to see what the camera is seeing, I have to press numpad 0. So right here, right? And as you can see, my camera is now looking, my view is now the camera view. You can also press this button, all right? If you don't have a numpad, just press this button. So right now it's not good. What we can do is move it. So as always, use the axis. Yeah, it's looking much better. We can change this one to something like solid, like that, like that, like that. Let's try to do like this, right in the corner. Let's make sure we can see everything. When we will have the portal, it's going to be too low, but anyway, we can change the camera position later. You can zoom in like that. So be careful, it's when you zoom in this 3D viewport area, it's not the camera zooming, it's just like the viewport zooming. This rectangle is what the camera is seeing, all right? Okay, so now that we have our camera is positioned properly, we can change the shading to see the result. And to do that, so when you hover the camera view, you press Z and you go to render. And now you can see exactly, not exactly, but almost what the render will look like. It's like a poor quality render with not many ray tracing, just few bouncing, few rays being casted, and it will look something like this. And as you can see, there is some noise, but we will get rid of this noise easily. Yeah, by the way, change the render engine to cycles. All right, if you use Eevee, or it looks good, but we are going to use cycle because it looks even better, and we want the best quality. By the way, about the quality, you can change the quality. So go to the render properties tab and change it there. And you can change the quality in the viewport. So this is the viewport quality with 32 by default. Maybe for you it's different if you tweak them, but anyway, I will keep 32. And you can change the render quality with this one. If I change it, I don't know, to 512, I don't see any difference. It's because I have to like start a render to see this result. So the more you add here, the longer it will take to do a render. Don't put too much, like 128 is more than enough. It won't look good. We will still see those points here and there, but it's enough for now. When at the end of this lesson, we will do like a clean render, and we will increase this number to maybe, I don't know, like 512, and it will look much better. But for now, we don't want to spend hours doing one render, so let's keep it quite low. By the way, you can use any number. I like to use like power of 2 numbers, but it's like developer reflex, yeah. You can use like 79. It's okay. You can put any number there. It's up to you, but I like to use power of 2, always power of 2, but you can use anything. So 128, looking good. I think it's time to start the render. Ah yes, by the way, you can also change the resolution of the render. You go to the output properties tab here, and you can change it here. By default, it's like a HD render, so it's 1080. You can change it. By the way, you can also like scale it, so it's an easy way to do like a small render if you want to do a quick one. We keep this one to 100. And now I think we can do the render. To do the render, you have to press F12. Be careful if you're using like a Mac, you also have to press FN. So FN, F12. It depends on your computer. Anyway, you don't want to change the volume, you want to press F12. If you can't find it, you can also search for it. So you can press FN F3. So you can see it's F3. And search for render, all right? And it will be somewhere, yeah, right here. Render image, F12. All right, let's press it. And you will have to wait. And as you can see, it takes time. So it's a bad quality. I mean, it's looking great, but still maybe I don't know if you can see on the video, but test on your computer. But there are some like noise, like visual noise everywhere. So it's not great, and it takes time. Still, it's not bad. It's looking pretty good. Cool. If you want to save this image, I don't know, to share with your friend, with your family, like, look what I'm doing, I'm starting to create like a portal scene, you can press, so it's Alt S, and it's going to save. Or you can use image, save as, or save. It's the same because we didn't save it already. And I'm going to put it, I don't know, let me check where I can put this. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the exercise. Lessons. It's going to be the 33. What is that order? Ah, it's probably by time. Okay, let me change that. 33 exercise. I'm going to create like a renders. You don't need to save it. It's just for you. But I'm going to do it anyway. So render 1 to keep like a souvenir of it. I save, so we can change parameters like PNG, JPEG, stuff like that. I will keep PNG with those parameters. I don't need RGBA because there is no alpha, but anyway, we don't care. It's just for the sake of the lesson. And if you check on the exercise folder, you will see your render right here, and you can share it with the world. I would like to see it. By the way, don't hesitate to send me a tweet or something like that, or on the Discord server to share your progress. All right, cool. By the way, we didn't save, so now is a good time to save. So because we didn't save, we can just press Ctrl S or Command S on Mac, and it will save. And I'm going to put it somewhere, so in the same folder, so exercise. I can create like a resources. Oh, it's not that important. Yeah, I will just put it. Let me rename you, please. Yeah, resources. Kind of a maniac in a folder structure, and you can call it any name you want. Yeah, portal is just fine. Portal.blend. All right, save. Just save always. You never know. It's very complex software when you're using any like PAO software, like you're building images, 3D stuff. Always save. It might crash at any second, so be careful with that. And I'm going to put the renders in it too. So resources, portal. All right, good. Let's move forward. The next step is about the tree trunks. Yeah, we're going to create some like cut trees. I hope it's the right word. So tree trunks. To do that, we are going to start with cylinders, and we will like have the low poly style. So not many polygons. You will see that it will look just great. So let's start with this, and we'll create a cylinder. And when you click on that, don't touch anything, because we have this menu we talk about sooner. We can tweak our cylinder, we can remove the caps, we can do stuff like that. So I'm going to change the vertices to 10. All right, you can do whatever you want. All right, but I like to keep it like 10. We see that at a point we were going to create logs with kind of the same shape, so I recommend 10, but you can change it if you want. By the way, as you can see, we have like the render being updated here, so we can see how it looks. The light isn't right, like it's too far, but we don't really care. We're going to change that later. So I have my cylinder. I can move it. We're going to put some logs over there, like close to the view, the default view at least. In the end, we can like rotate all around, but by default, it's good to have like a beautiful scene, and then the user can rotate around. And we can like change the size and stuff like that. So you can scale it like this, or you can scale it in the edit mode. There is a difference, but for now it's not that important, and do as you wish. All right. What I like to do is to place the origin at the floor level. See, I'm going to move the origin, so it's the orange point here, very close to the floor. It's not that important, but trust me, sometimes it gets handy to do that. I then switch to edit mode, and I move the log up. All right, it will get handy in some situations later, not for the logs, but later. And then, yeah, actually, as you can see, I can resize it, and it stays on the floor. See? So it's already handy. Anyway, so I'm going to move it there. It's way too high. The lumberjack didn't do his job great, so I'm going to reduce it a little, something like that. And I'm going to place more of them. So like that is fine. And I'm going to move it like there, like there. Yeah, it's okay. I will add some more right now. By the way, we are going to put an axe in one of them. So just choose, I don't know, one that's going to be high enough. By the way, I've selected in edit mode, I've switched to faces. You can use the numbers on top of your keyboard. So these are the 3 numbers, 1, 2, 3. 1 for the vertices, 2 for the edges, and 3 for the faces. So I switch to faces so that I can select the top faces and move it like that. Obviously, I don't want like a tree, like a trunk like that. So I move it on the Z axis like this. All right, this one is looking good. I can duplicate it. I will use like a top view here, and I duplicate it. I'm going to create one there, and one there. As always, don't spend too much time on those, because we are going to change. We can change it later anyway. I'm going to move this one down so that we can see stuff here like rocks, logs, etc. I'm going to move this one down too, and this one, I don't really care, just a bit. All right, add some randomness, always. I'm not going to rotate them because we can't see much of a difference. Yeah, this is nice. All right, cool. We can move forward. We're going to create some logs, you know, like some trunks, some tree parts have been cut. Sorry, I don't have the words in English, but we're going to place some cut logs on the floor. To do that, well, there is multiple ways of doing it. You can create another cylinder, or you can start with anyone you have already here. So I'm going to duplicate here. By the way, you can use this. So it might be like a comma or a point. So if you use this, let me check if you can see it properly. Yeah. So this comma or dot to focus the camera, you will see, on the object you selected. All right, I can do it again. I want, like, maybe my camera is getting kind of lost. You see, I'm somewhere over here. I cannot just focus on this. It's too hard because there is like kind of rotation point here, orbit point here. So I select the thing I want to work on. So this is this log here, and I press comma or point. It might be different on your keyboard. And suddenly the view, so while hovering this view, suddenly the view will focus on it, and now I can rotate on it. All right. Another tips, you can use this slash. So this is the slash here. Be careful, it's on the numpad. Numpad is great when using Blender. It's the same thing, but it also hides everything else. All right. It might be better, and you press it again to leave this mode. I'm going to use that later, so try to remember it. Anyway, you can see it on the left, the shortcuts I'm using. All right, so this is our log. Place it anywhere from now, not on the floor yet, because we want to rotate all around. Actually, we can use the slash so that we can focus on it. You go to edit mode, and you're going to edit this. Oh, actually, I did a mistake. Yeah, my bad. Sorry, we need to create a new one. So we delete this one. Yeah, I knew we needed to create a new one now. So you create a new cylinder. Sorry for that. And you change the cap fill type. It's by default N-gon. Maybe for you it's different, but anyway, we are going to change it to triangle fan. You will see what. This is about this part and also this part. We don't want an N-gon. An N-gon is like a polygon with many sides, which is exactly what we have here. We want a triangle fan, and a triangle fan looks like this. See? This is a triangle fan. This is an N-gon. When you export a geometry, anyway, it will be converted to triangles. All right, so what I recommend is to always work with triangles or quads. Why quads? Because a quad, so it's kind of this, can be easily split in two triangles. This, N-gon like this, you don't know how the software will convert it to a triangle. So it's usually better to work with quads and triangles, but N-gons are just fine. As long as you keep it flat, it should be fine. We use N-gons there. It's okay. You will see that there won't be any problem with that. So I did a mistake. So I create a new one and I change it to triangle fan. I move it up. It's way too big, but we don't care for now. And I go to edit mode. What I wanted to show you is that now we can easily create a portion of a log. See? We can just remove the part we don't want. So you click on the part you don't want. So I'm going to keep those. Yeah, two portions of a full cylinder are going to be fine. And you click and you use Shift to select multiple elements. By the way, if you select one and you press Control and select another one like much further, it will also select the intermediate faces. All right, it can create like surprises. Let me see if I can get one. No, they are all working. So try not to go too far, but something like that, like that, like that. And if you go too far, well, you can use Shift and unselect by clicking on the same. So then I can use this one, click, 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 like that. So not this one, this one. And at the bottom, this one, this one, this one, I can use Control to select them much faster. All right, those are the one I want to delete. By the way, I was in faces mode. Yeah, use the faces mode. It's going to be much easier like that. And you can delete them by pressing X and choosing faces. You can remove vertices, edges, stuff like that. You can dissolve, so it's very powerful, but we just want to get rid of those faces. Like that. Alright, cool. So it's a good start, but we are missing like the fill part, so the caps in a way. To create those, you can use the edge or the vertices. Let's use the vertices this time, and you're going to select the vertices. This one, this one, this one, this one. You can do the exact same thing on the other side. So I have selected 4 vertices, and I'm going to press F. F, it's not exactly for face, it's to create, because if you select only 2, like this one and this one, and you press F, it will create an edge. So it depends on how many elements you selected. So this one is going to create a triangle, and this one is going to create a full face. And if I have multiple one like this, I just created a monster, so avoid doing that. So it's quads only, so 1, 2, 3, 4, F, and I've created this. 1, 2, 3, 4, F. By the way, the order in which you selected them is not important. I'm saying that because maybe you've been using other software, 3D software, where it's important. Right here, Blender doesn't care about the order. It will try to guess according to the rest of the geometry, like the size of the normals. We are going to have a problem with that later, you will see what. But anyway, let's just create those faces, and it's looking great. Cool. I'm going to scale it, move it like this, like that. Let's create like a logical proportion. Yeah, it should be over there. All right. I know I'm going a bit fast. Don't hesitate to pause the video. I want it to be, yeah, something like that, so that it lays on the ground. As you can see, the origin is on the floor, so it's fine. I can move it like this. See, like it's at the center. I don't really care about that. Actually, it's even easier, so I can do this. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to create one here. It's way too big. Let's make it smaller. Yeah, like this is fine. Look at the result here. The light is way too low. It's okay. We're going to fix that anyway. And I'm going to create 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 4. Maybe we can create some... like if one was on top of the other one, maybe like that. Yeah, try some stuff. If it doesn't look good, change it and don't spend too much time on it. Let me see. Yeah, it's not crazy. Can I like rotate both of them? Yeah, this one is better. Okay, I'm going to move this one here. This one maybe, yeah, let's create it here. Okay, I like it. Anyway, I can change that later. It's not that important. Add randomness, fill the gaps, add details. We are not going to add too much details, but details make it believable. Like a bad scene can look much better with just enough details. We are not going to add details because this lesson is going to be long enough. But if you feel like it, or after doing all the lessons, create a scene and add details. But be careful, more details, it's more work to do. So we did a mistake here. The mistake is that, look at the scene here, the scene graph. This is the outliner, so it's what's in your scene. It's like a scene tree, something like that. It's a mess. There is no name. There is this thing collection, I don't know, it looks like a box, and yeah, it's just a mess. So we need to organize stuff a little. By the way, this one is slightly in it. Yeah, fixed. We have this thing called collection. Collection, they are like folders, but not folders like groups. You must not see the collections like the groups of 3GS. By that, I mean that here there is a collection. I can double click and rename it the way I want. All right, you can put anything there. We will organize everything using collections. I cannot move the collection so that it moves everything in it. It doesn't work like that. It's just kind of filter or just a folder to organize your outliner, your scene graph. All right, you cannot scale the whole collection. It's more like to select things and to put things and to toggle it so you're not bothered with it, and also to be able to kind of deactivate the whole collection at once. All right. You can create groups, so it's kind of it's parenting. Like you create a parent, it's an empty object, and you add object in it. And if you resize this one, it will resize the children of this object. It's possible in Blender, but we are not going to use that because we don't need that, and also because I want to show you the collections, because collections are great to keep things organized. So by default, as you can see, we have the default collection. It's this one. There is a one on top of everything. It's the scene collection. We don't care about this one. Actually, we cannot even change it. See, I cannot rename it, cannot edit built-in names. All right, so let's not touch about this one. But we have control over those. And actually, see, I can move things out. Like if I put it there, if I put it there, I toggle this one. As you can see, the camera and the cube are now outside of this one. So it's perfect. We can organize stuff. Yeah, so let's go. Let's organize everything. You can create new collections by doing right click, new collection. All right, so now I have this previous one collection. I'm going to rename it, and I have this one. All right, cool. Let's put the fences in this one. So I'm going to double click on it, call it fences. I use camel case here, but you can use any name you want. It's just for you to organize yourself. And I'm going to select my fences. If you check here, you will see that they are selected too. You can move them like this. And if you selected multiple elements, even if they are in other collections, just moving one into that collection will move every selected object. So this is one way of doing. So right now I've put all my fences in this collection. Let's do the same for the logs. So I'm going to call it trunks, and you will see that I will do it slightly differently. I will select them like that, so it takes time, but we should have done it at first. But we didn't know about collections. And I'm not going to drag and drop it, I'm going to press M. And when you press M, you can select in what collection you want to put it. And I'm going to choose trunks. Then I can use the floor, and I'm going to do differently again, because I want to show you all the way of putting things in collection. So I've selected the floor, and I'm going to press M. As you can see, I didn't create the collection already, so I'm going to press M, and this time I'm going to choose new collection. And here I can put, I don't know, floor. Yeah, floor is fine. And it will create it and put the objects in it. And as you can see, it's so much better. I still have this one collection. You can just rename it. I'm going to create, to set the name to others. And I'm going to put the camera in it. I'm not going to rename every object, at least for now. It's not that important as long as you have collections and not like a collection with 100 objects in it. It's just fine. It's more than enough. All right. If you want to rename every object, you can, but you also need to create your scene, and it's up to you. You can do whatever you want. At a point, we are going to rename very specific objects for 3GS integration purpose, but it's going to be later anyway. Okay, so now we are going to use collections all the time. What we are going to do now is create the axe. We are going to create like an axe that will be planté. Sorry, I don't know the name. It will be like positioned inside this this trunk, and we're going to create the collection already. All right. Try to remember to do that. By the way, let's save. Save. Quick. You never know. Maybe your computer will run out of battery, or I don't know. So always save. Maybe a bug. So I did create the axe. And I'm going to create like a huge axe there and move it here once I'm done. So to create the axe, I'm going to start with the head of the axe. So the cutting part of the axe. So I'm going to start with the cube. I'm going to move it up so I can just focus on it without taking care of the rest. I'm going to position this view, not there, maybe there, so it was 1, numpad 1. And I'm going to play with the shape. And look at the shape I'm going to build. This is the creative part, like you just move things. And try to move things without doing this. See, I moved one vertex, and it messed up with how flat this face is. This is bad. Try to keep faces flat. Like if I want to reduce it, I can select this one, and press S, Y, and resize it. Actually, I can select the whole thing, S, Y, and do like that. All right, avoid doing this kind of stuff. The geometry is impossible here. It's all messed up. All right, so try to follow me on this. Actually, you can pause the video, try to do it yourself. So it's the head of the axe. I'm not using any references, but when I did this this lesson for the first time, I did use some references. So open I don't know, any search engine and search for axes, stuff like that, like old axe, and try to see the pattern. It's always hard to do it just by memory. Just try to draw a bike right now. Just take a paper and try to draw a bike. You will see that you will messed up very badly. It's always hard. We know how it looks, but when we try to create it, it doesn't look great at all. So use references. So this is a good start. I'm going to create like some roundness at the bottom. I want something like that. All right. Here it doesn't look like an axe. To create this roundness here, I'm going to cut it. Like to add more like edges. I need, with the cube I cannot round anything. Like see, if I try to move it, I don't have like I don't have enough vertices to create like a round part. What I can do is do a loop cut. To do a loop cut, I press Ctrl R, and I'm going to, I didn't click yet, I'm going to use the wheel to create more kind of cuts. All right, so I'm going to create 3 cuts like this. I click. If I move the mouse, you will see that it's not going to be centered. Oh, I did a mistake. I wanted them to be centered. I can just press right click and it will stay at the initial position. And now I have my loop cuts. Let's do it again. So I press Ctrl R to get back. It doesn't matter if you're in edge, faces or vertices. So I'm going to do it in faces now. So you press Ctrl R. You use your wheel. Too bad we can't see the wheel on the shortcuts. You click once, and now you can move it on the sides. I don't want to move them on the sides. I would just press the right click there. So it stays at the default position. And now I have more vertices to play with. And I can play with those. See, I will go to this view in wireframe. Be careful, it has to be in wireframe, because if you're not in wireframe, it won't select the one behind. So to select, I want to select those two, so I can shift and click there, or I can use this view, press B, and B enable like a rectangle selection like this. So I'm going to use this one and this one. Why? To keep things symmetrical. And I'm going to move them up. No, I said up, so it's the Z. Like that. And I'm going to take those vertices, make sure you selected the 4 vertices here, and I'm going to move them up a bit, like that. And yeah, that's all. It's a good start. Okay, cool. Let me check. Next, we can like reduce this part, so I'm going to select all the faces on the top. You can also like use in vertex mode, select the vertices, and I'm going to scale them like this. And that's all. Pretty easy. So not too much. Yeah, like this is just fine. And let me check. Yeah, it's looking great. I'm going to move it up a bit. We need like the cutting part here. To create the cutting part here, what I can do is Shift R. So again, it's a loop cut. All right. And I click. So I did one loop cut there. Only one loop cut at the default position. And what I'm going to do now, follow me on this, I'm going to select those vertices. So as you can see, it's only those vertices. Also those ones. Not the one I created right before. And I'm going to move them by following their edges there. Or it looks really hard. How can I do that? Like, should I select one and try to move it there? or it's not going to be a line. I'm going to mess up with the faces. Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not great either. Follow me on this. You will see there is a solution. So you select those ones like this. So it's long to select, but it's okay. Like that. And you're going to press G, G. And I said it twice. So it's G, G. Good game. Yeah. And you can move them up and they will follow the edges. See, I can go like to the top and it's working like that. And this way I can create the cutting part of the head. Looks how good it is. It's great. All right, cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm happy with the results. Maybe we could have maybe reduced this. Let me check if it's looking better if we do. Yeah, just a bit. Like S, Y. See, I've selected those one on the top. S, Y, and just slightly reduce. Not too much because we are going to put a handle in it. So not too much. All right, it's looking good. Maybe more actually. Because we are going to put it in the log, so we are going to not be able to see it much. So move them a bit more. Yeah, like that is fine. It's not perfect, but I'm not going to redo it anyway. It will do the trick. All right, this is the head part. It's in the axe collection. What I'm going to do now is create the handle. So to create the handle, I'm going to start with the cube again. I'm going to move the cube over here. I switch to the edit mode. I just check like the size of it. Yeah, make sure it's like smaller on the y-axis compared to the head. Yeah, and I'm going to move, like you can switch to this mode, select this face and move it out. Be careful, right now I'm doing a mistake, so always make sure it's on the right axis, so it's the X axis, and it looks like this. And this is actually enough, but I'm going to add more shapes to it for the lesson purpose. First, I'm going to make sure that it's going out of it. So I'm going to move it there just a bit, just enough. We will see like a wood part going out. Move it up a little. And I'm getting like a maniac here. I'm going to try to move the things like perfectly, but I should not. Let's see the shape, the global shape. It's really hard. You will see that it's really not that easy. All right. First, what I'm going to do is extrude it. Actually, you can do a loop cut. I want to add more like curve to the axe. I can create loop cuts. Yeah, this is fine. So let's start with the loop cut, and I'm going to show you another way right after. And I don't know, maybe something like that. And I'm going to push it further. And to do that, what I can do is press E. E will do an extrude. It will like add another part on the face you selected. So you select the face you want to extrude. You can be using other stuff, but it's easier using edges or vertices, but it's obviously easier when using the faces mode. And you extrude it like that. All right, looking pretty good. I'm going to extrude it again. I'm going to add, see, I selected the edge only. Maybe add something like that. Maybe add something like that. Yeah, this is good. Actually, this is fine. How did I get it so fast? I got lucky. Maybe it's because it's the 4th time I've been doing it. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much time on it. If you want, you can pause the video and get back to the video once you're happy with your axe. So it's kind of a cute little axe. You can create a bigger one, but it will look great with those thick wood stuff, fences and logs. So it's up to you. You can do whatever you want. Once you're happy, you can move it at the right position. So try to make something a little realistic. I'm going to move it on this little guy here. Use the different views you have. I'm going to rotate it. Yeah, like that is fine. Yeah, it's looking good. All right, next part. We're going to create some pole lights. on the side. Like there will be one here and one here, and it's going to be the exact same pose. This part is not that hard. It's actually probably even easier than the axe. So you can try, like on your own, maybe try to do it, create the one pole light, and then get back to the video. So let's go. I'm going to create a cube. So I'm going to create the base of the pole light. So quite thick, like a huge stone stuff for the base of the pole light. I'm going to move it slightly above the floor, like this. As always, I can do it like in the middle of the scene. I can put it there already. It's up to you. I'm going to move this part up a little, like that. Yeah, should be fine. I don't know, maybe. I'm going to create another part, so it's going to be another cube. Oh, I did a mistake. See, I'm in the wrong collection, so let's fix that. I'm going to remove this cube. You probably did create the right collection, so it's going to be pole lights with an S, because I'm going to duplicate it inside the collection. So pole lights, you can create like two collection or collection in collections. Actually, you can create, like if I right click here, you see that I have another collection inside this collection. I press X to delete it, and I'm going to move this one in it. All right. By the way, I forgot to tell you about filters. I shown you how you can deactivate stuff like that. So it's really handy. If you don't want to see them, it will actually not even be visible in the render, I think. Yeah, I think so. But you can add more buttons here. So this will deactivate it in the render only. Oh, actually, no, I'm saying mistakes. So you can click on this filters button and choose what buttons you want here. All right. What I recommend is to add only the selectable button. This lets you deactivate the selection on a collection, and I will do it on the others collection, so that I cannot select the light or the camera. And you can use it for anything you want. You can deactivate all the things you don't want. So this way, see, I'm clicking everywhere. It's not working. But I can only select the pole light because it's the only one having this icon. All right, so it's up to you. I think I will keep all of them, but not the others collection. And you can check the other one, so you can control, like, I think this one is visible in render. So if I do this, nothing will be visible in render, but I can still see them inside the viewport. So there are many tweaks like that. It's up to you. It might get messy if you use all of them and you tweak them and you have complex structures, so it's up to you. All right, cool. So click on the pole lights, open it, create the beams. Yeah, this is what I wanted to do. So I'm going to create like beams going up. I can select this. Make sure things are not overlapping. We're going to fix that anyway later, but let's start with a pretty good model and make sure things are not overlapping too much. You don't have to be at the exact position. Slightly above is just fine. User won't be able to move the camera and see if it's exactly at this part, so it's okay. Just make sure it's not overlapping too much. I'm going to go into edit mode, select the top part and just moving up. So G and Z. I don't know how high it should be. Maybe I should like slightly change it like that. I should have put like the origin at the bottom to be able to scale it easily, but anyway, it's gonna be fine. Okay, I like it like that. Maybe too thick anyway, we don't really care. We'll see what we get after. So one beam, I will stay in the beam, in the edit mode, and I'm going to duplicate it, scale it, and I'm going to create the other part, which is going to be, like that. I don't have the words to explain, so I do it, you see what I'm talking about, and then you can do it, pause the video and do it. So like that. I know I'm going maybe a bit fast. You can slow down the video anyway, pause the video, and do things on your own. It's good to struggle because this is how you will learn anyway. So I move it up a little. Yeah, it's more than enough. I can create the rope. Should I create the rope inside? Yeah, let's do the same. I'm going to duplicate it, move it down, on the X, on like this. I don't really know what I'm doing right now. Yeah, right here. Not too far, maybe like that. So it's just kind of rope. Yeah, it's not very realistic. Maybe we should have create like a chain. We say chain, I think, yeah, in English, like a chain, something like that. But I want to keep things simple enough because it's going to take like ages if I don't. All right, it's not overlapping too much. As you can see, these poles are overlapping a lot. Could have like cut it there and there, but we're going to need to unwrap those, and it's going to be really long and hard if I have too many pieces. So it's up to you. It's okay to have some poles, some parts overlapping. Just try to avoid having too much things overlapping. So I've created the base, I've created the beams, the rope. What I'm missing now is the lamp. And this is the hard part. So I can create, I'm going to start with the cube, and actually I can start with this one. Yeah, let's learn something new. What I'm going to do is select the rope. Make sure you selected the whole rope. If you're not sure, you can switch to wireframe and select everything. Maybe you can use B and select it like that. All right, I'm in faces mode. Let's learn something else. You can select one face and press Ctrl L. This will select, it depends on the context and the option you choose, but let's say it select the island. All right, so this part isn't linked to this part or this part, so I press Ctrl L. It will only select this element because faces are linked. All right, it's a little more complex, but it's the way most people are using it anyway. And what I'm going to do is duplicate it, move it down, so Shift D, and then I move it down. And why I did this? Well, because I wanted to create like the lamp, so the lamp part, but perfectly aligned with the rope, which is why I've started from the rope. But this is the same object. How can I separate them? I can press P and choose by what? Well, I want to separate the selection part. So I repeat, you just select this part, so it's the rope being duplicated that will become the lamp. You press P and you choose select. You leave the edit mode, and as you can see, I now have three objects: the base, the beam, and the kind of rope, the chain. If you want, it's up to you. You can change the color anyway later. And what it's going to be the lamp. All right. Be careful, the origin of the lamp is the same as the beam. If you stay in edit mode, well, it's up to what you selected, so it's fine. But if you are in not, so the object mode, so not edit mode, see, it's going to do something like that. All right, so stays in edit mode. Also, yeah, let's learn something new. It's a lot in a row, but you can, like when you are in object mode, you select your soon to be lamp, you press F3, so it's the search, and you can search for origin to geometry, like this. So I do it again, F3, you search for origin to, it's a fuzzy search, you can just press few stuff, and if something is matching barely, it will show up like this. So origin to geometry, and now it's the center. All right, that was a lot. Anyway, you just need a cube over there. All right, if it was too much, just create a cube and put it over there, and we are going to play with that cube. So now we can resize this lamp. So I can move it something like that. Big, but not that big. Yeah, something like that should be just fine. All right, let's move it up. All right, and we're going to create like you know, the kind of trapeze shape like this, like old lamps. To do that, first we're going to add a loop cut. So you press Ctrl R, you move the loop cut up, you select this face, and you just this one first. You scale it something like that. You scale this one something, yeah, like that is just fine. Let me check. Yeah, it may be a bit too big, but it's okay. Okay, let's reduce it just slightly. I should not spend too much time on details, but it's how I am. Yeah, like this is fine. Yeah, okay, I like this. I like it this way. Okay, this is fine. This is a good start for the shape. Maybe slightly, no, it's fine like this. Now we want to add those kind of recesses here. Like we want this, the inside to be the light, but the frame of the lamps to be like metal. So we need to create those kind of inside faces and push those faces even more inside. So how can we do that? Well, it's a mix of different tips. You will see. First, we need to go into edit mode. We are going to select this face, so the 4 faces all around. So make sure you selected all the faces, but also the one below. All right, select the one below. Why? Because I want also some light to illuminate the floor. It won't be that visible, but we see that we will create a lighting part here so that it can illuminate the surrounding. And we want to create what we call inset. To create inset, you can just press I. And if you move the cursor, you will see that it's not what we want. It's getting messy. All right, just right click. Sorry, press I. Let me check. No, I didn't break anything. Just press I, and now without moving the mouse, so don't move the mouse. If you did move the mouse, just maybe Control Z and do it again. So I didn't move the mouse and I press left click. So I did an inset, but didn't move the mouse. So it's an inset that's not doing anything. Still, we did an inset. And without touching anything else, you can see that there is a menu here. Maybe you did a mistake, you click OK. Let's get back. So Control Z, Command Z on Mac. All right, do it until you get your selection. So get back, because you did an inset without moving anything, you're going to mess up with your mesh. So go back, press I, click without moving the mouse, and see the menu here, open it. And in that menu, you can do the inset, but also control the parameters. And the one parameters we really need is the individual. This, we do an inset on each individual face. And now we can play with those parameters. So it's not this one, my bad. Neither this one. Okay, it was the first one. We just need to put a higher value. And you can put, I don't know, something like 0.65. Yeah, this is fine. This is looking good. Make it thick enough, all right? Because we are going to push those faces inside, and we want to be able to push them enough. So 0.65 is fine. All right, it's looking good. But now we need to create like those recesses. We need to push those faces inside. And we are going to use the same technique we did with the axe. We are going to use the extrude. But we are not going to extrude out. We are going to extrude in, which is totally doable. So first, we are going, let me check. This one is kind of tricky, so follow me on this one. First, I can click somewhere else. If you lose the selection, you can just press Control Z, because selecting stuff is part of like things you can undo, which is great. It's strange, but it's great actually. What I'm going to do is press E, right click. So it's not left click, it's right click. So I did an extrude, but I didn't move. And if right now I'm moving, you can see that it's a mess. So I will put this back to 0. And now I need to change two things. First, the orientation, I will change it to normal. Secondly, I'm going to change this part, so the transform pivot point, to individual origin. All right? It might be different depending on the Blender version. So let's see. Change the Z, and as you can see, positive value will do something like that, and negative value will do something like that. So you can just push it inside using this technique. And it's looking good. Maybe too much. No, actually just fine. Like we can see it from far away, it's just fine. Just make sure it's not too much so that they overlap. See, we can see the one from the side. So 0.2 is just, so minus 0.2, sorry. 0.02 is just fine. All right, it's looking good. But what we're going to do now is separate those like a lamp part from the frame of the lamp, because we're going to use different material on those. So we need to separate them. To separate them, we're going to press P. We already did this one. While all the faces are selected, you press P and you choose selection. And now you get the exact same result, but it's two different objects. All right. I just left the edit mode. And as you can see, I have two different objects, this one and this one. This way we'll be able to apply a material on this part and another material on this part. All right, my pole is looking good. You can select everything. By the way, you can right click on the collection you want to select and choose select objects. You can move it. So I'm going to put it somewhere over there. Yeah, that's fine. Looking good. And what I'm going to do now is duplicate it, but this time I'm not going to use Shift D. I'm going to use Alt D. Alt D will create what we call a link duplicate. Alt D, and I just put it there. And a link duplicate, it's kind of instancing, like they are the same instance. It's two instances of the same geometries. By that, I mean that if I edit one, as you can see, it's also editing the other. They are linked duplicates. So let's do it again. I go back. I just select the element I want to duplicate. I press Alt D. I will right click so it stays at the same position. I just move it on the X, rotate it. Oh, we have to change the origins to bounding box center, because right now what you saw is that they are all like turning on their center. So move it to bounding box center, rotate it this way, move it maybe back there, like above the fences, like it's slightly above the the path, and it's looking great. And we did that so that we can change one and it should change the other one. All right, we're not going to do a lot of changes. I just wanted to show you the linked duplicate. We might use it a bit more later. Anyway, we are almost there. It's looking good. Let's see the render. By the way, you can do renders anywhere you want. So you press F12, you get your render. So you have to wait, obviously. You can share it, whatever you want. We're going to create the rocks. So first thing, we are going to create a rocks collection. We're going to start with a cube. So there are many ways of creating rocks. I'm going to show you how I do it. So yet again, I will keep the origin at the center, at the floor level. Yeah, that's it. I will move to the edit mode and move the geometry itself. And I can just move it like slightly above the floor. All right, something like that. I just like to keep things this way so that I can resize them. As you can see, it stays at the floor level. I recommend you to do that. It will get really handy after. So how do we create rocks? See, I moved only on the x-axis so that it's always on the floor. It's not that important, but anyway. Me, I like to cut the shape. You can start from anything. You can start from a sphere, but I like to start from I have a low poly style, so I will start from a cube, and I'm going to cut it and cut it and cut it and cut it in different ways. To do that, we're going to use the bisect tool. So to create that, let me check. Actually, duplicate it multiple times, like another one. Push it further, push it further. All right, let's do 4 of them, because we're going to create 4 different rocks and then use them to spread them around the scene. You can hide them if you want by pressing those, so that we can focus on this little guy here. So we're going to use the bisect tool. So how do we get this bisect tool? You can search for it by pressing F3 and search for bisect. Where is it? Oh, you have to be in edit mode. Sorry. So F3 to search for bisect. All right, and you press enter and it's been activated. I'm going to show you how to use it. You can go in mesh bisect, or you can use the tools menu here. So if you want to show the tools, it's T to toggle it, so you show it and you hide it, and it's going to be somewhere over, I don't know, maybe there, no, maybe there, yeah. So we have the knife and we have the bisect. We need the bisect. All right, it's up to you the way you want to get it. And the idea here is that we are going to cut it, and cut it, and cut it like that. So let's go. First, you need to select the whole geometry. So you can press A to select everything. You must be in edit mode. Then you select everything and you search for bisect, or you use the button I just showed you. And right now I'm doing a bisect. Maybe you can't see much of it. There is actually no things telling us that we are doing a bisect. But anyway, right now I'm doing a bisect and I can just drag and drop. See, I can drag and drop, and let's do a first cut like this. So what did we get here? So it looks like it worked, it went through, but we want to get rid of this part, and we can do that by clicking on clear outer. And this will be the default parameter from now of the bisect, which is great because we are not going to have to cut it every time. So this is our first cut, but as you can see, it's open and we can fill this part we just cut with the fill checkbox, and that's it. And we are going to cut so that we kind of lose this squarish shape. You can keep some kind of cube shape because it's kind of a low poly effect, some kind of Minecraft stuff, so it's okay. It's up to you. So let's go. Before doing another bisect, very important, you have to select everything again, because if I do a bisect right now, see, it only bisects the part I selected and I messed up with the whole geometry. So I select everything, choose bisect, and cut it. And I move the camera, choose bisect, I forgot to select everything, choose bisect, and I cut it. Enter. I move, bisect, I cut. Oh, again, I will do it every time. This is not on purpose. I'm not trying to show you how not to do mistake. I'm really messing up with this one. All right, like this, it's still too squarish. So select everything. Okay, this one I got it. And I cut it, I don't know, like this maybe. Yeah, it's looking good. All right, one more. Select everything, bisect, and bam. Be radical. I know I messed up with the previous bisect. I don't care. I just added some randomness. All right, one more there. Select everything, bisect, puff, like a small one right here. And you just created one. Maybe it's bad, maybe it's good. We don't care. We're going to create multiple ones and do that, and then spread them, resize them, etc. So we still have like a good angle here, but it's okay. I don't care. It's possible in real life to have almost like a perfect angle. So this one now, I select everything, bisect, and I'm going to use I'm going to bisect it this way. Bam, radical. I'm going to select everything, bisect, like this. Select everything, bisect, like that. Select everything, change the angle, from the perfect top, bisect, like that. Select everything, bisect, like that. So this one is very flat. Why not? Anyway, I will be able to change it later. By the way, don't move the vertices. Just don't. Use bisect only, because you want things to stay flat. As you can see, it's not triangles, it's n-gons. If I try to move this one here, I say, yeah, this one is still flat, this one is still flat, this one is not anymore. So don't move the vertices. Cut. And don't spend too much time on it. See, I've already done 2. How much did you do? It's not a race. I'm gonna win. So that's that. Yeah, like that. Hop, like that. Bisect. Yeah, let's mess up with this one as much as possible, like that. Yeah, it's pretty good. One more, like that. Yeah, okay. And one more. Actually, we have enough. But anyway, let's cut it. Oop, I messed up. So pause the video if I'm going too fast, as always. Change this angle too, alright? Play with the camera angle in different manners. I didn't broke the squarish part here, so let's break just slightly, not too much. I want squarish rocks. Anyway, alright, that's it. We have now 4 different rocks. Maybe some are bad, maybe some good. Anyway, we have some materials to spread them. Well, let's go. What I'm going to do now is duplicate and place them there and make sure they are at like floor level. Alright, what you can do is put this one here and start duplicating. And what I recommend, so don't forget there will be like a portal right here. What I recommend is to have like big rocks in the back. So there, let me show you, there and there, mostly there. Small rocks here and medium rocks here, so that the main view here is looking good. Like you don't have a big rock hiding the portal or stuff like that, and you get some height in the back. But it's up to you. Now it's time to just try stuff, resize it, maybe something like that. I will take this one, move it, make sure it's on the floor level. What I like to do also is, yeah, I can put it right here. Try not to go out of the square. What I like to do is like just place them without rotating, because I think it takes time to rotate and I don't even know what's going to be the result anyway. So I just place them. They're overlapping, but I'm going to fix that right after. Then use this one. See, I'm just placing many of them, only scale and position. It's up to you. Find the way you like to do it. A very small one, a very small one again, and a big one there. So maybe it's not the right place. I don't care. I will fix that later anyway. I have so much elements in the screen. You can hide those. Okay, one there, very small, one there, like that. Okay, so it's getting better. And what I do then is that I rotate them after, like this. See, I'm just improving it like this. And I can play with the axes. Yeah, like that. This one is too hidden, so I can move it there. Some randomness. This one is looking good. Yeah, I like it this way. Let me see from the default angle. Yeah, let's put this one in front of it to add some randomness as always. By the way, I've been using this. Like when I try to move something, I can choose the axis, so X, Y, or Z, but I can also exclude one axis. To do that, so you are in any mode, scale or translate, and you press Shift and the axis you want to avoid. So Shift Z, and right now I'm moving, but only on the X and Y. This way it stays on the floor. And always check, is everything on the floor? Yeah, perfect. All right, so we move them a bit. This one maybe like that. Like this is just fine. Yeah, it's looking good. Maybe we need more big rocks in the back. Maybe not too much. Let me check. Maybe this one here, this one here. As always, I'm going to spend too much time on details. It's part of the fun anyway. As long as you are enjoying doing it, spend as much time as you want. It's fine. Don't forget that we're going to have the portal, so this one might be a problem later. I don't really care. I like to have these things almost like falling out like this. Yeah, it's good. I'm going to take this one. Oh, what did I do? So Shift D, G, move it up. I rotate it a bit. All right, and don't forget also that you can just like mix them, so too squarish. All right, so you can just mix them here too, so very small ones, so we don't see it's the same. I can take, I don't know, this one maybe like that. yeah, we kind of mix them so it looks even more random. All right, let me see. Yeah, I mean, I still want to change it, but we have to stop anyway. Okay, we put one more here, like that. Let's make sure it's not going out. So I think I'm done. Pause the video if you're not done, and yeah, that's it. I can get rid of those. You can create like an archive collection and put things you don't use anymore. It's up to you. I will get rid of those because I have enough material here right inside my scene. Oh, be careful with those one. They are overlapping. Yeah, make sure nothing is overlapping. It's not that bad, but it might create some darkness in the final result. We don't want that. All right, it's looking good. We are almost done with the modeling. What we are going to do now is add the portal. So to add the portal, we are going to create some bricks in a circle. First, I'm going to create one brick. No, never mind. First, we are going to create a collection. I'm going to call it portal. I'm going to create the cube. I'm going to move it up a lot. Yeah, move it like that. All right. I'm going to go into edit mode, make it smaller, move it down, and see you need your origin to be way above your brick. So I'm creating one brick and I'm going to duplicate it around this origin. And because the origin will be here, it will be the center of the portal. I'm going to do like a circle of bricks all around. So keep it like this. It's going to be much easier to move things. So I can use this view to show you how it is. It's maybe too close or too far, I don't care. I will be able to change it later anyway. And then you can like extend it a little on the x-axis and it should be fine. I don't know, maybe it's hard to project ourselves with only that. So now there is a trick. We are going to duplicate it. We are going to use a linked duplicate. So we are going to use Alt D instead of Shift D to duplicate it, so that if we change one brick, it will change the other bricks. But there is something else. We are going to do a rotation at the same time we are doing the duplication. Follow me on this. I will press Shift D. I didn't press anything else. I press R to create a rotation, and then Y to rotate only on the Y. So right now I'm still duplicating it, but also rotating at the same time. Let's do it again. I have my brick. I deleted the one I just created to show you again the process. Alt D. I didn't click anywhere. I press R to create a rotation. So I'm kind of duplicating and rotating at the same time. You will see why. Y to force the axis. And I'm just going to move it somewhere over there. All right. I don't know exactly. Maybe I got this part wrong. I'm going to fix that anyway. So they are overlapping a little. You can see on the bottom left of the screen. So right, I cannot show you. So they're all overlapping a little, but it's okay. So right here, like that. So I did a duplication, but also rotation at the same point. And the idea here is that we are going to repeat the last action we did. And because this last action is both a duplicate and a rotation, it will create another brick, another brick, another brick. So let's go to redo this last action. You press F3 and you search for, I don't know, last, yeah, repeat last. All right, you can just write repeat last. You press enter. I don't know why, but it always go on the wrong side. I mean, it depends. Maybe it did it right, but right now I have two bricks here. It's okay. Just do it again. So you have this one selected. You press F3. We're going to need to delete one later. Repeat last. F3. Repeat last. I don't know if there is a shortcut. Probably. I don't know it. So I'm going to search for it and do it multiple times. And I kind of got it wrong, but don't worry, it's okay. Because it's not like closing perfectly, but we don't care. So don't forget to delete one of those, see? Because it went on the other side, I don't know why, but it went on the other side. We have two bricks at this position, so I can delete one. Maybe for you it went on the right side. Good for you, you don't have anything to delete. All right, it's cool. Select the original one, so the one that is perfectly aligned with the scene. And as you can see, because we did duplicates linked duplicates, sorry, editing one will edit the other. What I'm going to do is place a view like on the side like this. Select this one. You can't select the one from the other, so just select the two vertices you can see here and here. And I'm going just to improve the shape of my portal like this. Oh, it's looking great like that. Kind of aperture stuff. So I'm going to select all the top ones here, and I'm going to scale them on the x-axis. See, I'm getting this result, and try to keep them like very close, not too close, just close enough. Yeah, something like that. So I repeat. Actually, you can just select the top face. So I selected the top face. You can see that it's selecting the other ones, but it's because they are linked duplicates. You press S, X, and you resize it this way. So just a small gap. You can do the same thing on the other side. S, X, and less close. Yeah, like this is fine. You get some kind of a cool shape. All right, we can delete those two. We don't need them. You select all the bricks. You rotate it. So it's hard to get it like just right. Let's see if I can like align with something. See that you have those grids. Is it aligned? Let me check. Yeah, it's perfectly aligned. So lucky. And you move it there. You resize it. You move it where you want. Try to keep it aligned with the rest of your scene. Close to the border. Not too close, like not like this. So slight offset. And maybe slightly smaller. Yeah, like this is fine. We can move it later anyway, don't worry for that. All right. Everything is still in the portal collection. We're going to add the stairs. To add the stairs, well, let's create cubes. That's all, just cubes like this. I'm going to create one, move it there, there, there. I know it looks easy when I do it, but I've been doing it so many times. This portal is the 4th time I'm building it. Oop, I'm making mistakes. So you take your time, always, and have fun. So it's okay if it goes into the floor. So slightly like that. All right, cool. And I'm going to create two other parts of the stairs, like one like this. Yeah, I'm going to create the last one right now, maybe like that. It's always hard to have like those kind of stairs. Oh, and I got it right. Cool. I usually spent like 5 minutes trying to get like good proportion, so it might be hard. Don't worry, it takes time. Spend some time trying to find the right proportion to position the stairs, or do like I'm showing it to you right here. Make sure that the bricks are going inside it, which is strange because as you can see, it's not the same distance on the side. Did I get something wrong here? Yeah, it looks like it's not aligned. Let me check. Yeah, I think I got something wrong. They are aligned, but the top part, yeah, I got something wrong. I don't know what exactly. Make sure your portal is aligned. All right, it's not perfect. Let's move a lot. Okay, right now it's just fine. Move it up. Make sure that you can't see like this. Or actually, it's not such a problem, but I want this part to be hidden like this. All right, and now it's perfectly symmetrical. All right, cool. I think we have our geometry. It's looking good. Let's add some randomness here. All right. Next part, we need the portal itself. So it's going to be a disk, quite easy. You just create a disk. It doesn't matter if you use Ngon or not. Let's use a fan so that it's symmetrical. So you create a circle, and here you choose triangle fan. All right, so you fill it with the triangle fan just like we did with the cylinders. You move it up, so at the center of the portal. You can rotate it and push it inside our portal, like at the center of the portal. Resize it. Use the view. Always use the view. Look. Always position the things according to a good view. Like position the view on the right side so that you can really see what you are doing. And see, I'm just making sure that the visible part stops right here. Like where there is openings, I'm just adding it. It's not perfectly centered. Actually, I think it is. Or maybe higher for, yeah, a bit higher. Oh, by the way, to get like one of your areas at full screen, not full screen, but full Blender, we say, you press Control Space. When you hover it, Control Space, and you press it again. So this way you can really enjoy what you are doing. All right, like that. Yeah, it's fine. It's okay if it goes inside those, it's not a problem. If the portal goes inside the bricks. There is too much triangle, but it's okay. It's not going to be a performance issue. Okay, we are almost done here. What we need to do now, I think it's add the materials. So right now is the right moment where you should place things a little better because you have every object you need. You can see the render. By the way, the camera might be a bit, so I cannot select it because I checked this part. So the camera might be not like center on the scene. So what you can do is just move it back a little, moving then up a little. Yeah, something like that. Make sure you can see everything like that. Yeah, this one is looking nice. By the way, you can totally move your light. So let's move it, I don't know, like there. I think it's always great to have the light like on the top left. It's up to you. And you can do a render again, just to enjoy your full scene. So now is the time to place stuff. Make sure you fill the gaps, not in the path, because we are creating some kind of level design stuff, you know, that it's easy for the player to see where he has to go because there is a huge portal and nothing in the path, but you can go on the sides because there are trunks and rocks and stuff like that. So it's kind of a level design style. And yeah, do a render, looks how it check how it looks, share it on the Discord, on the Twitter. I would like to see what you are doing, and fill the gaps, and it will be fine. Make sure you have big stuff in the back and nothing is kind of hiding stuff. If you have big rocks in the front, it will hide details. So yeah, kind of composition stuff. All right, I'm happy with it. I can make the others unselectable. I also move the light on the left. What we are going to do now is add materials. Don't worry, it's quite easy part and funny part because it's kind of we are coloriage. How do we say in English? Coloring stuff. So let's go. I'm not going to use any texture, so we see it's going to be quite simple. First, make sure you have a white light. So I will make it selectable again, and it's strong enough. All right, this is just enough. You can even push it further. Make sure you move it like this. We want to be able to enjoy the lights, but also to have a neutral environment. If you add a color to your light, maybe it will look great, but you will choose wrong colors. You need to choose the right colors. And then if you want to create, I don't know, like a night mood, we just dim the light, change it to blue, and it will look great. Maybe like in hell, we create like a reddish light, and it will looks great because you will choose colors for the materials with a neutral environment. So white light at this point. Okay, so how to create those materials? First, what I recommend is to change your main view to a material preview. Why? Well, it's because you're going to be able to see the colors. All right, it's just a preview. It's not as good as this rendered preview, but still you'll be able to see that maybe you forgot to change the color of this rock. Right now it's white because we don't have materials on our scene, but we're going to change that anyway. First, we can start with the grass. So you select your grass, you go into the material part. You might have already a material available. If you click on this, you might have a material here. It depends on your initial setup. You can start with this one. Actually, you can just click on this material and use it, and we are going to change it just like we are going to do right now. And if you have no materials, well, it's my case here. You can just create one. So I will click on New. First thing I recommend is to always rename those materials. I'm going to use grass. It's not mandatory. We're not going to need that for 3GS or stuff like that. Still, it's always good to be organized and to name stuff. So, by default, it's a principal BSDF material and it's PBR material, meaning that will look realistic. And we are going for that style. I know the geometries are not realistic, but we want a good looking render. So keep this principal BSDF. And we're going to play with only two parameters, the base color and the roughness here. If you add roughness, well, it will look like a carpet, and it's good looking result in our case. It depends on what you want to create, but in our case it will look great. So what I recommend is to crank up the roughness to the maximum, and then you can change the color and choose some kind of green grass. By the way, I won't be able to get good colors right now because I've changed the resolution. It's not the native resolution of my screen, and all the colors are wrong. Like, it's much darker and contrasted. So don't use my colors, use your colors. All right, me, I will mess up with the colors because I can't see the right result right now. So just try to get a good result and don't use my colors. So for me, this one is looking good. You can check this part here. It's okay, but for you maybe this will looks bad. So it's bad to have a wrongly set up screen, but I need that to record in the right resolution. So anyway, choose your colors. So as you can see, it's done. We did it. We added like a grass material on the floor, so it's looking good. All right, maybe more like yellow. Yeah, it's probably a mistake changing those, but yeah, a bit more of yellow on it. Okay, looking good. You can change those anyway later. So next is about the wood. We are going to use the same material for all the wood parts, which is the fences, but also the trunks, the logs, and the axe handle. First, select one of them. I will start with the fence, but you can select any other one. Create a new material. So you're in the tab material, you create new. You immediately change the name, or you're not going to change it later. You crank up the roughness and you choose like a kind of brownish result. Yeah, this one should be fine. Let's not spend hours choosing one color. You can spend hours, but not me because of the video. And that's all. Okay, it's great. But how can I change all the other one? Should I select the other fences? Select the wood? Select the other fences? Select the wood? It's gonna take ages. No, there are solutions. The idea, first, what you can do is select all the objects you want to change. So I'm going to start with the fences, and then one good with the colors, the material already set on it. All right, so I've selected this one, this one, this one, this one. And because I've finished with this one has a different outline. See, it's the active one. We saw that in the previous lesson about Blender. So this is the active one. It's very important. If this one has a bright outline, this is the active one. We want this one to have the bright outline. And then you're going to press Control, even on Mac, so Mac and PC, Control L. See? And here you can apply stuff from the active one to the selected one. So I'm going to apply, so Control L, the materials from the active one to the selected one. And I can do that with the rest. I can select the trunks by doing right click, select objects, select one fence, Control L, material. I can select the handle, another log, Control L, materials. And that's all. Easy. The rocks, same thing. I'm going to use a big rock. I'm going to create a rock material. I know I'm going quite fast. Keep up. So it's going to look like that. A bit bright, but not too much. And I'm going to select all the rocks. I'm going to do everything in one row. I'm going to select this part, this part, this part, this part, this part, this part. Yeah. If you get something wrong, just press Ctrl Z. It's not working. Why? Oh, I press Ctrl E, my bad. So yeah, just select every rocks part. So as you can see, I selected the bricks, the stairs, all the rocks, but also the base of the pole lights. And you can just like finish by selecting the active one, so the one we already set the rocks material on it. Press Ctrl R and choose materials. And you can see that it's looking great. Make sure you didn't forget anything and we can move forward. Oh, by the way, we did forget the pole lights here and the ropes with it. So just select them, select one more wood and choose material. So Ctrl L, material. So how does it look? Yeah, it's looking good. All right, next part is the metallic parts. So this is this one, and this one. So first you can select, let's say this one here. You can create a new material. So I'm going to do metal. I'm going to change the color for much darker, like maybe something like that. Not too dark, we want still to be able to see it. And we can play with the roughness. It's hard to see really the result here, but let's not keep like a high roughness because it's metallic. We're going to lower the roughness. There is also a metallic parameter here, but it's more about having things reflecting, and it's not really possible with, you kind of get a difference, but it's not really possible to have reflection when using baking. So just play with the roughness to have like a different surface. So we did it on this one. Oh, by the way, there are duplicates, so this one has been updated also. And we can change this one and choose metal. All right, you don't need to do the trick of selecting multiple and pressing Ctrl L if it's just one. And as you can see, it's looking pretty good. You can do a render now to see how it looks. Now would be a good time. But we still need to add special materials. And those special materials are for the lights. We need a light here, one here, and one here, because the portal is going to emit a huge light on the whole scene. So how can we do that? We're going to use what we call emissive material. We can start with, let's say, the light from the pole lights. So you select one of them, you go into the material tab, if not already, and you create a new one, and you can call it pole, I don't know, like lamp light, lamp emissive. Yeah, I like to use emissive when they are emissive so that I can distinguish them easier. And it's not going to be a principal BSDF. It's not PBR. We want to create a material that will emit light. To do that, you click here. As you can see, there are so many different types. What we need is the emission material. So it's not emissive, sorry, it's emission. So I'm going to call it, let's say, lamp light instead. All right. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. It's going to be fine. And here you go. You have it right now, but we can't see much of a difference here. Maybe on the frame here, we can see that there is some light. We need to crank it up a lot. And you can move it to, I don't know, maybe 80. And as you can see now, it's fully bright. We are not going to use this white because it's not very like medieval realistic stuff. We need some kind of like if there is a candle or something like that in it. So I'm going to go for a more like reddish light. And yeah, this one is good. As always, don't use my colors because my screen is not right. Use your colors. And as you can see, it adds some warmth to the scene and it's great. And we can still distinguish the frame. So it's good. Yeah, it's looking really good right now. Let's do the same thing for the portal. So I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to call it portal light. I'm going to change the surface to emission. And right now you can choose whatever color you want for the portal. Me, I will go for kind of a white light, kind of pure, but you can totally use a pink, blue, green, and change everything like that. So I'm going to use white, and I'm going to crank it up a little to 40. Yeah, and as you can see, it's a lot, but still it's looking good. Maybe we can just change the point light here so that it's not too saturated. But yeah, 40 is just fine. It's looking good. All right, we are almost done here. What we are going to do now is improve the ambient light. For now, we have a point light, which is not really realistic because when you have, I don't know, like the sun, it's creating like rays coming from a large surface, and it creates some kind of diffuse shadows. And anyway, it will look better to have a like kind of parallel but diffuse lighting and shadows. So let's replace this point light by another light called area light. And the area light, so first you can delete this one. The area light is like the rect area light in 3GS. So it's a rectangle. You can't see much of it, so it's right here. You can increase it a bit, and you can start moving it. So be careful, it's not that easy to move it. So what I will do is already like rotate it. Follow me on this. Like maybe like that. I rotate it enough. Then I move like this, like that. Let's see, maybe like this. I'm going to tweak it anyway, and like that. All right, make it even bigger. The bigger your light is, the more diffuse the light will be. So it's up to what you want to create, but I like something really very diffused. All right, we can't see much of it because see the result here. If I remove my light, it's the same result. It's because the value is too low. Like the strength is only at 10. It's not a lot. You can crank it up to 240. Now it's looking good. Okay, you can change the color. So yet again, don't use my colors, use your color, and create some kind of mood. So now that you have your area light, I think the scene is done. You can try to do like a render just to see how it looks. Yeah, the lights are great. I hope it's faster for you, but anyway, yeah, it's looking nice. You can change the scale of the render so that it goes a bit faster. It's maybe a bit too bright, but anyway, I think it's just fine. You can tweak it, set the right color, change the distance. It can like really improve things. You can also change like the size and stuff like that. All right, cool. It's time to do like the final tweaks. If you want to create different mood, you can change like the color of the portal, the color of the light, the color of the object themselves, and you can create very different mood. Let me show you some more other mood you can create. Yeah, see, you can create like maybe something like that. Let me put this one here. Maybe something like that, kind of pinkish. Maybe something like that. Yeah, kind of like a poison swarm stuff like this. So yeah, this one is looking really cool. So create the one you like, and we are going to bake this one. By the way, to do like a good render, maybe it's time to improve slightly the render we can get. So let me just move that here. First, what you can do is improve the sampling. So instead of 128, you should go for something like 512. This is like more than enough usually, but you can also do even more if you want, if you can wait also like a few minutes to get your render. So this is like more than enough. Also, when you do this render, you will see that still you will keep having this kind of noise. See here? Let's wait for those to be done. As you can see, it's much longer to do each square. But there we can still like kind of see some dots, some noise here. What you can do to improve that is activate the denoising here. So go inside the render properties, go inside the sampling and then denoising section and activate the render NLM. I don't know what is it exactly, NLM, but I can tell you that it will get rid of the noise. It's just unbelievable how great this denoiser is working. It's the best one I've ever seen. And finally, once you're done with your render, please share it. I want to see the result. Use the Discord, use Twitter, use whatever you want. Just share the result. In the next lesson, we are going to learn how to unwrap this scene. and how to bake it in order to export it. And in the next lesson, we are going to import it inside 3GS. See you in the next lesson.